When I was, I guess, well, I mean, I had a lot of love for music when I was younger. I played in bands, and my father was a musician, so I was already involved in music from an early age on. But when I was around 15, 16, I think I was involved with a dubious crowd in Denmark. I was hanging out with these guys, and we would get into a bit of criminal activity, which wasn't very helpful to anybody. And I remember at the moment I had just recently discovered techno music for myself. I had been to the basements in Denmark with 200 people, a strobe light and a sound system. And I felt it was very, very special, very, very precious. And I vividly remember I had a situation where I had not fallen out with the crowd, but something happened, something very dramatic happened with the guys I was hanging out with. And I decided to stay home and make music instead. And on that specific night, one of my friends was arrested for killing a police officer. And he had stolen a car, and the police officer got caught in the door of the car and sadly passed away in that situation, which was terrible. And I just remember that I could have very easily been in that car. I could have very easily been on the back seat. And since then I realized that music really saved me in many, many ways, on a mental level obviously, but maybe also physically, from something that could have been a very different life. There have been certain stages throughout my life as an adult where I've had these moments where I've realized not only how much music is meant to me, but also how much is done for me. And I think I owe great debt to music, and I feel that's why I need to also spread the message of what it is still to this day. So there are two sides of my life. One is DJing, and during the weekend it's basically a game of catching up on sleep. I'll try and sleep on the airplane, sleep in the hotel as much as I can, eat as healthy as I can. Because realistically, if you're touring on a high level, you don't get much of any of that. I mean, it sounds like a very luxurious lifestyle, which it also is. It's a privileged lifestyle, no question about it. But the fact is, some of the physical needs that you have, you're struggling with. So I try to do a bit of exercise on the road, eat very healthy as possible. With that being said, I do indulge in a nice glass of champagne or a whiskey and some chocolate if I get away with it. So, first of all, there's the health aspect of being a DJ. It's obviously not the most healthiest lifestyle, in the sense that you're constantly catching on sleep, and it's hard to keep a workout regimen on the road. But that being said, those are completely secondary to the benefits, which are, I make people happy. That's my job. And I'll never forget my dad. He was a Buddhist, and he took me to see his Rinpoche. And my dad wanted me to be he wanted me to be either a Buddhist monk, or he wanted me to study, like as dads do. And his Rinpoche asked me, and he said, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I want to make music. And he said, it's the best thing you can do with your life, because you will only make people happy. And it's so true. Every time I'm on a stage somewhere, at a festival, at a club, at a venue, whatever, I realize that there is no cost in this life. The crew is happy, people are happy, artists are happy. It's not like going to a football match where somebody has to lose. There is no sacrifice, which I think is extremely beautiful. And that's why I love it so much. I do a lot of working out when I'm home. I love gravel biking in the woods. I have a cool, amazing collective of friends, and we go out and we gravel bike, and we have philosophical discussions on the road, and that really heals me a lot. I have a very, very good team of people at home that are incredibly sweet, and they take care of me. And also call out my bullshit when needed, which is probably the most important thing. I have a couple of albums that I use as sort of a reset, especially if I've, let's say, played 3 shows and I'm on the way somewhere and I've had, let's say, 2 hours of sleep or whatever. I have albums that I'll put on the airplane and just doze away to. And they have this weird, revitalizing impact on my mind and on my ears. And often it will transport me away and I'll come back. It's kind of a meditation, if you will. But it's just so seducing and so beautiful to do. And I think it's important as a human being to find those albums, because they can become your home on the road. There's been so many of those goosebump moments in my life. I can't even begin to relate to that. But I specifically remember two. One more recent and one very early on in my life. I was in, actually can't remember who was playing, but I was going through a rough time. My first girlfriend had left me, I think I was 18 or 19. And I was at a party somewhere and I was not feeling too good. And the DJ, it was like a techno set, but then he mixed in this incredible ambient record called, the theme from it's all called Pear Shaped, which is still one of my absolute favorite records. And I felt at that moment that things were going to be okay, like things were going to be good again, because it had been a tough time. I mean, losing your first love is always hard, I think for everybody. But at that moment I was like, I had this epiphany that something was in the future for me, something was there, and that was incredible. And one of the last moments I had, which was a recent experience, I went to a concert in Denmark with my sister. We don't get to spend much time together, sadly. And we went to this concert by a Danish artist called Peter Sommer. And he's such a beautiful poet. And it was like a weird cabaret kind of experience. But the poetry that he was speaking and singing just hit me really, really hard. Like, I was so enamored by what he was saying and the way he was saying it, the double entendres, the way he was using words. And I love the fact that it was a Danish concert. It was Danish spoken, so it was kind of a waking up moment for myself that also in my own language, there's something to be found. I strongly believe that music has a healing power, even if you don't believe in it. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't listen to music in some form or capacity. It could be the radio, doesn't really matter to me, whatever works. I believe that the mind needs to have that challenge. I mean, realistically, listening to music is sort of a mathematical challenge, because there are these elements that are within timing and such. I believe that everybody enjoys music on some level. There's no question that it's healing. And for me, obviously, I mean, it goes without question, I've dedicated my life to that. And also dedicated my life to showing other people how healing it can be. That's pretty much what I want to do with my life. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to do when I perform, when I make music. That's what it's all for me. It's hard to give advice in that sense. I think all of it is very age-related also, what works for you. Obviously, you have to realize on which stage of level you are. In my case, my life has to a certain extent become much about restraint, because I've been very fortunate to have a life where everything is on offer at any given moment, pretty much. But I think we can all learn from this, because realistically, for most people, anything is at a hand's reach. To be able to hold back and consider, well, what is really good for you as a human being? And it's a very individual question. Only you can answer this. It can be the perfect thing for you is to go absolutely crazy, go on a bender for 3 days, and that will give you something. For me as a person, I've come to the conclusion that I will have those moments maybe once or twice a year, and that's enough, because I can't handle any more than that, especially because I have a mission with life. There's something I want to do, something I want to achieve. So I'd say, depending on how you live, maybe consider restraining yourself.